Okay, this is the video portion of the prop carving thread. I've already started this and I thought it'd be a good idea to do a video so you can actually see how the knife works and how I hold my hands and all that so you don't cut your fingers off. So yeah, let's get started. You can see so far I've been concentrating on doing the outside portion of this because the inside here, in the cub here, you're going to have to cut inwards because the grain's going the wrong way. So we're going to start off here and I'm going to just work, and notice how I'm kind of working off the other thumb. That's the safe way to do it. I'm going to work up, this is the back side of this blade, and I'm going to work these lines up so I get towards the edges here. And watch your finger sticking out. These things are sharp. You definitely want to start with a sharp knife here, otherwise it's going to cause problems. So you kind of keep working, keep watching what you're doing. And I'm going to work at this. The interesting thing is that by holding the knife on this bias angle, you're actually carving a little bit of the undercamber in, and that holds true. So as I work the edge, the tip out here, and get towards the edge and get a full cut across, and work my way down to here, you're going to run into a point where, because of that shape, the way it works in here, you're going to run into a situation where you're going to have to start coming back in this way. But it'll only be for the last little bit and the last portion. So I've got enough carved away there now that I can come in here and work a bit more. Okay. And I'm just going to work up so that I'm right at the edge and right at the edge. Because this is that side of the blade, this being the front here of course. It's that side of the blade there. You want to just work it up so that you get right to those corners, and using the shape of the blade to set your pitch variation. I like them when they're actually in the middle of the blade, where it's actually at 45 degrees, and then it twists off to something about a 30 degree at the tip. And if you, depending on the pitch diameter or the diameter of the prop, this usually works out to be about the right amount of pitch and everything too. So okay, let the wood talk to you, let the grain talk to you. You'll get a feel for it. And okay, now I can come in closer to the hub, and I'm going to switch over and start carving this way. In fact, I think I'm going to turn it around, and that's biting in, so I'm not quite there yet. That's probably, see now. Okay, now this looks bad, but what I'm doing is I'm pivoting off my fingertips here, so I've got good control. I don't have to worry about it. The grain here, you can see it's digging in here, but it's carving off here nicely. So you're going to have to switch back and forth here a bit as you work this part out and get the hollow out in here. And you can see it's going to end up being a little bit of a scoop down here to get that shape. But I'm going to work towards the end here. Okay, I think you're getting the idea now. So I'll pause this for now. I'll kind of do a bit more work here, and you'll see the finished results on this, the belly or the bottom of this blade in a minute. Okay, we're back for the next little bit. I've got both the blades, back side of the blades rough carved, and I'm just starting to work on the transition into the hub on the back side of the hub here. And I don't know if you can see the shadow line here. I'll try and get this around somewhere. Peek at this. So you can kind of see where it's blending into the hub here a bit. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of refine that a bit more. Bring the shape in here, just a small shift at this point, and just clean up this where it goes out. You want to leave this part here relatively thick until it gets from here out to around here. You're just going to taper it out smoothly so that, and then go down in thickness all the way to very thin at the tip. But you want the blade to kind of have some suppleness to it. So this is all part and parcel of kind of blending it together and getting a nice strong hub, but an even flex through the blade. And it'll come together later on when you start to see it. And you can always go back and redo a little bit of this. So if you don't take it off, you can always go back to it. So if you're going to err on the side of anything, err on the side of making it a bit clunky at first, and then you can go back and refine it. So I'm just kind of working this down here, getting transitions out into the blade. And you can see I've come down to a triangle on the end, and I've pretty much met the edges here. I've got a little bit extra here on these sides because I want a little extra thickness in there for the strength. This side here I need to do a little bit more on. I'm going to just keep going there. And again, take a little bit more out here. Okay. Alright, I think that's not too bad for the back side of the blade for now. I'm going to start working on the front side. I started chipping away on this one, so I might as well keep going on it. Turn the knife around the right way. So you can see why I suggested doing this over the garbage can now. So just start taking this off. Work your way in using the other thumb for support. And you're going to start cutting in here. Now remember, this side's got to be airfoiled, so don't get too carried away. I like to work out the edge here a bit, the end a bit more, get this thin down before I get too carried away. Otherwise I'm working with a thin center and a thick tip, and that's a good way to end up breaking things. So now we can watch this. More out here. Hope you like the blues in the background there. Okay, now this is where it gets important, because you want this area here to be about, not much more than about a 1/16 of an inch thick. And just watch as you're coming through here, watch for the wood turning, the grain turning around. If it starts picking up the grain, you got to turn that knife around quick, like it's starting to do now. But that's okay, because I want it tapered away, so I'm just going to cut this and sacrifice a little bit of that. Okay. And remember, you want to get a little bit of a rounding here, so I'm not really going for an airfoil at this point, more going for just slight arch thickness. And I'm going to want to get this tip down to something at or about a 1/16 of an inch. On the back side there, I didn't quite get that one right to the corner. Okay. Okay, back to the front side. We're getting down really close to a 1/16 of an inch here now. I'll probably leave that for now, and I'll carry on back to the hub. Okay, I hope you're getting the idea here. Just take out little chips. Don't try and take out long runs, because, like I say, the wood grain's going to turn on you, and you don't want to get caught. And it just depends on the grain of the block too. You know, on one side it might cut fine this way. On the next side, if it's running out a bit, or because the grain's different, you might find it digs in right away. So you have to turn around and start carving towards you using a hinge type action, like that. Okay, so just beware of that. See, now I'm working on this downside here, so I'm going to turn it around here and start working it this way. Come back up. Always use your two hands opposite, like force against force, so that if the knife jumps out of the wood, it's not going to run away on you. That's how you end up getting cut. So how are we doing here? Okay, if you pinch the blade, kind of like that, you can actually see how your progress is going. I've got about a 1/4 inch there right now, so I'll keep going. I want to get that down a little bit thinner. I want this area here in about the middle of the blade where that square portion was. I want that to, on this width made from a 1-inch square block, I'm going to be aiming for a hair under 1/8 after it's all sanded. So for right now I'm going to go slightly fat 1/8 and taper off the trailing edge. Grain's turning on me, so I'm turning around here. Cut up onto the blade. Okay, back to the top. The grain's working with me here, so I can do this. Okay, that's getting down, slightly fat 1/8 inch, about 5/32s or so, I guess. I'm going to start tapering. See, I got my thumb in here, so I'm not really at any risk here because I'm just rolling off that thumb, eh? So you got good control there. But still, it's about time to move that finger out of the way because I'm working into the hub now. And just going to start. See how we're transitioning from the blade onto the hub here? So this will end up being roughly oval with just a flat area on the back. We're going to round off this in the end so that the blade from this edge here runs along, transitions right through and goes into the other side, and that makes it a very attractive looking blade. You'll see that in a minute. Actually, here's what I did back in 1987 off my Miss Canada Senior. I got carried away here. This is way too thin in the hub, and as a result I've had the blade break on me a couple of times. So that's what you kind of want to avoid. Notice how I got carried away making it, hollowing it in here. I don't know if you can see the shading on there. I don't do it that way anymore because it's just a little bit too thin. But we're looking here, this is, and I got carried away here too, this is about 332s right in here where my fingers are, and tapers down to about a 32nd. So yeah, that's a little bit much. Okay, I'm going to keep going on this, and we'll get back to you in part 3. Okay, part 3. The rough carving's pretty much all done. I'm just going to refine a few little bits and pieces here, but basically we're about ready for this sandpaper. Sorry, just had to check the zoom setting here. But yeah, we're pretty much ready to sandpaper. I'm feeling the back of the blade. There's a few little lumps there I'm going to work out, and there's a spot where I almost started to go in the wrong way, but I caught myself right there. So that part has to be cut towards me, so I can smooth that out a little bit. But then it turns right here, so I'm gonna have to work towards the middle. So there's gonna be a lot of little things like that you have to kind of work out. Again, keep in mind here, like I'm cutting towards my finger, but I've got that control. I'm pivoting off my other thumb, so I can take those short little guided strokes, and the knife is very sharp, so it cuts very easily. So yeah, if you do cut yourself, it better be in slow motion, otherwise you're doing it wrong. So I'm just gonna, but yeah, that's pretty much ready for sanding, and we'll get into sanding here in a few minutes. But yeah, it's roughly about 1/8 of an inch thick there. Blends into the hub. That's what I like to see. On a little fat here, that one's not too bad. About 1/8 of an inch there again at that transition. That was where the first mark out was, where the taper went out. That's about 1/8 of an inch there, and maybe a little fatter than that. So I'm going to work that down a little bit more, but that's getting the rough idea. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but you can see the way you can see there the way the leading edge transitions across and comes through, and it just gets fat, little teardrop in the middle here, and that's kind of what you want. And it's just a slightly bigger version of that on the back, because you're going to put your little bearing in there and all that, so I leave a little bit of a flat area here. It's not the end of the world aerodynamically, it's in close to the hub. It's this part of the blade is the part that actually does the work. So, but yeah, there you are. I've been, I think it's taken me about 40 minutes to do this, including stopping for the videos and pictures. So there you go. We'll get into more of it a little bit later. I'll do a quickie on the sanding, because there's a couple of tricks there I've got up my sleeve too. Alright, that's it for now. Catch you on part